So while I was away, this you say just kept reverberating with me. I'm sorry Santi's not here, but maybe that's okay because Santi was in every single dream I had every night. And then one night it was like three dreams. It was Santi. And you all were like just moving through my cabin like ghosts. I said I could have just stayed home because everybody is here with me. Um, uh, so I'll tell you all about that when um, my trip one day when we don't have so many visitors. I don't want to bring them in the middle of the story.
They might be new regulars,
Yeah, but then I'll tell them.
Okay.
Tell them the story. I just have one thing to say before I got this job. My daughter, ever since she was young, she would, she would see ghosts, and I did not know how to help her then, so I would ask her if she wanted me to send her somewhere, with somebody who could help her with those kinds of things because I didn't, I don't know if I said, well, if it's a gift, it's the one I don't want, I don't want. I have a hard enough time with human beings, just trying to understand human beings. But I in the beginning it would scare her so bad, and mother couldn't help, couldn't what I thought she needed protection. And then later on, in her 20s, her 30s, and her 40s, she's in her 50s now. And she said, oh my, I got that all under control. They don't even bother me. Uh, if some activity starts when I'm someplace, I just tell them where to stay and where I'm gonna stay, and what they can do and what I'm gonna do. And she said, and it all works out fine. So while we were in my kids took me supposedly on a healing cruise, and all these things I said I was gonna do while I was there. I didn't do any of them. Mostly I just stayed in my bed. I'm gonna find a rocking bed. I mean, I was able to sleep, I only sleep a few hours a night, but I slept like, I don't know, 10, 12, 14 hours a day. So that was healing. That was healing for me.
We used to call it water bag.
Yeah. I asked Kay last night, I said, Kay, can we get a water bed? She said no, because the floor has to be reinforced or something. I said, I had them all when I was in that period of my life, and we never had our beds reinforced. But she's afraid that the floor,
They're not easy to get out of though.
yeah.
Not at this age.
So in the room, they only had a few channels because they don't want you in the room. They want you out buying stuff. And one of the channels was travel or something, and they have nothing but ghost stories. And they have some of the worst ones, um, where there's no understanding of them as living beings, and or compassion for the state that they're in. And I was just watching these shows, and my heart was just going out for all of these ghosts and the way people were trying to interact with them, not knowing how to interact, and it was terrorizing, and all of those things. And so when she came in the room to check on me, I said, Tasha, I said, maybe we should get together and help out some of these ghosts. They're going through such torment. She said, no, Mom. She said, no, just leave it alone. And I'm like, you're right. But it was really funny because at one time, I was so afraid. And now I'm not, because I have some understanding of uh, the universe and the beings in the universe and how we're in certain states and we create a reality, based on our own mind. And the good news of the dharma, or the Buddhists, they come to help us discover who and what we really are. And so it's so wonderful to be able to seize the essence of a precious human life. And, and so today I feel very grateful for all of our teachers at whatever level we encounter them when the affinity is there. It's not about learning things. It's not about our intellectual mind likes a lot of knowing. But if we can live a life of compassion and ease, if we can know our own mind, that's what's important, because we create our reality. So you can imagine in a world with billions, we got billions, right? Billions of people here, and each one is creating a reality with their own mind. What trouble we are in, and so this Dharma walk is really about um, unraveling the delusion that we harbor in our own mind. And right now we're following behind uh, external appearances, um, and we're thinking that that is reality, and that causes me to react and respond to what's happening externally. But the truth of the matter is that we can come to the place that with our own thoughts collectively and individually, we can change the patterns that we see manifesting in the outer world. So we want the wisdom to know how to be helpful in that kind of way. And so for that today, I honor and I respect the teachers of all, well, we say spiritual traditions, but that's a word we made up to try to express, how to understand life and how to live life successfully, um, and to find the marvelous aspect of life. And they tell us that it is in seeing that it's all empty. And so this word empty befuddles us, because we have an idea of empty meaning nothing, nothing there. But it's more of like uh uh or we'll say non-attachment to things. And we have an idea of what that means to us in words, but it means so much more. And we have to contemplate what it means, um, and to really get the gist of it, or we think it means like being um, detached, or not feeling, or not caring. And it doesn't mean any of those things, but it's just recognizing that all causes are due to conditions, and that nothing can actually manifest without the cause that brings that into existence. And if we don't like what is present, and we're participating in its stability, then we can, if in our shifting, it will cause outer appearances to shift. So I'm not waiting on everybody else to change. You know, I'm looking to see what part of this I'm contributing, you know, and even if I change it, say if a butterfly flaps its wings on one part of the earth, that has a ripple or repercussion all the way around the globe. And so together we can change the world, but it takes us individually, recognizing our part in it. And so I have devoted my life to spiritual pursuit and taking care of those who also devote their life. And as I'm coming up to the end of my life, I'm wondering how well I did in my own family. It's like those people, we didn't have any choice about that. We were born into that. And but I thought that while most people need to be not so attached to their family, that I should leave my family with whatever understanding they have. I should let them know that they matter and they were important to me in ways that they can realize, So that meant spending some time with them, which was difficult. It was really, really, really difficult. And if you ever want a case for drama, maybe you all don't feel that way because you're with your families, but because I haven't been with my family for 25 years or 30 years, boy, those folks are crazy.
Wonder what they're saying.
Yeah, but it was wonderful to be with them. I'm not judging, I'm just telling the truth. That's crazy. But I loved being with them in what I consider, their craziness. And I could just be there with it. I ain't like trying to preach them, I ain't trying to straighten nothing out. My sister has dementia, and and that was a riot. And it was like being a pajama party. We like just stayed up all night. The first night they got this big room to all six of us in one room, and they all night they just talked about. I was gonna say nonsense, but I'll say things that just didn't interest me all night. But for that whole night, I participated, and it was just wonderful. So that's what I'm saying. That was the giving part was not trying to save anybody, but it was just being with them, letting them be how they are, and they like being that way. So I just leave them, I leave them with that. And so after that, I stayed in my room the rest of the trip. So I was on the 15th deck. I think there were like 20 decks to the ship. I only been on my deck where my bed was and the food court of one of the places where they serve food. And that's all I saw of the ship. So I don't have anything to tell you about how the trip was, about things that they did. They did everything. I said, this is a floating Sodom and Gomorrah. This is a gambling, drinking, ogling men and women. And I just didn't understand. I didn't understand it, but I can say that I'm happy. I'm happy that I went because it brought my family joy to be, to be with them. So thank you all for letting me go. And in the future, if there is to ask, the answer is no. Okay. So can we play? Can we open with that song today?
It's on YouTube.
No, I want the one that we have,
Indeed.
and
Oh.
it's
I sent
gotta,
it to her last
it's gotta
night.
be in that,
In the
Via
key.
email.
in that
In the
key.
key.
Yeah,
Hold on.
look at email receipt from 2 weeks ago.
I have fly. That's what.
Oh, no, okay. Oh, I didn't bring my phone. The one day I don't bring my phone.
Did you send it to me?
Yeah.
I
everybody.
have it,
Do you have your phone?
yes. The reason I wanna start with this is because they say faith or confidence, if faith is the word that bothers you, confidence comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. And that's why spiritual traditions are oral traditions. And the master and the student walk and talk together, you know. And one's confidence is aroused. Something seizes their heart, and they know that something else is possible for them. It's in my jiggy thing that
Got
looks
it.
like
I
that.
think I got it.
Okay. It's possible for them. And so this is like a dharma of listening. Listening is different than dialoguing. Dialogue, I'm telling you what I think, you tell me what you think, you know, and we're talking back and forth about what we think. But listening is setting aside what I think to hear something and then pondering that. And some of that we will take in, some of that we will toss aside, some of that will shift or broaden the way we think. And of course, sometimes it narrows and constricts the way that we think. And so it's important who we listen to. And it is important to listen and not think while we are listening. We can think later, but really giving our undivided attention. And sometimes just one little line, one little word was all I needed to hear in the whole talk, because that one little thing changed the way I understand something, the way I put it out into the world, and it conditions what manifests in the world. Oh, we have so much power that we don't know that we have when we cultivate the capacity to listen. And so I think this song was originally lovers, but for me, all the teachers.
I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough.
I like
Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. Ooh, oh, you say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe the only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth, in you I find my identity. Ooh, oh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I'm weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short. You'll have every failure, God. You'll have every victory. Ooh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. You say I am held when I am falling short. When I don't belong, oh, you say I'm yours, and I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe, oh, I believe, yes, I believe what you say of me. I
So the reason that Buddhas appear in the world is to let us know that we also are Buddhas, that is our original nature. And I won't say that we've forgotten, because if it was true that we could forget, then if I remember now, how do I know I won't forget again? So I don't think it's that we forget, but that we have not yet awakened to the truth of that. And so if the teacher is not taking us towards seeing our original nature, then we would have to say that that's a counterfeit dharma. And somehow we've reduced it to something academic, and we're learning things, but it's really only by direct experience that we come to know what life is really all about. We can talk about love, we can talk about all of these kinds of things. But if in the moment that love needs to be applied, it can't find its place in you, then we haven't really learned anything. And so this path of cultivation is really about the direct experiences we have, as opposed to the things that we say and the things that we talk about. Buddha Master would say, we should all be good people and have a kind heart, follow goodness. And otherwise, our Dharma talk is just empty talk. And he said, exactly what should we do to be a good person? And he said, the most important thing is to let go of our selfishness. We must first let go of selfishness. And then we can truly cut off self-attachment. And cutting off self-attachment is synonymous with one entering into a holy state. So it's the entry point of entering into a holy state. Taking delight in helping others and ardently caring for people. And we must perform this undertaking well. And so throughout the day, he suggests, well, he said 3 times a day, but once you get into this way of cultivating, you end up doing it like constantly, like everything you say, you're looking back, like from what perspective, where was I really coming from? I remember my mother bought me a polka dot dress, and that might have been the style they wore when she was a child. But when I was a child, polka dots were not in. I said, "Ma, I can't wear this dress. Can't wear this dress to school. I'll be the laughing stock of the school." Plus, I was in junior high school. I could see it was elementary, but I was in junior high. And she said, "You're gonna wear this dress," and I wore that dress to school, and they laughed at me so hard. And I came home, I was like just broken, you know, and explaining what happened. And she put the dress away, and I never had to wear it again. So then I wanted a leather coat because leather was in, and she didn't buy me a leather coat. She bought me a pleather coat. And you know, they had the sleek kind, the sleek model style coats in the 60s. Real skinny models, and all the leather coats were like in 4 panels, something like that, you know. She bought me one, looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy. It had gathers all up here. So I was like this, that's if I cannot wear that to school. And she said, "I paid good money for this coat. You said you wanted leather. I meant real leather coat." She made me wear the coat to school. When I went back to put on my coat to come home at 3 o'clock, everybody in the school had autographed my coat. And I wore it home, and I laid it on her bed. And then she understood. She understood something. And so there's a big difference between explanation, or how we think in our minds, and how we actually experience things. And the Dharma is about having the real experience of things. Um, that's how we come to know ourselves, what we really think, how we really feel. Sometimes we wear such a mask, you know, that we don't even know ourselves. And that's really what it's about. But the thing about it is, once you come to know yourself, then there is a connection that takes place, that you can also know everybody else. But if I don't know myself, then I don't know what's in front of me. And so we learn in this path to really look at oneself when we're trying to figure somebody else out. And once I know me, then all that's left is, I see you. I see you. So this trip was very useful for me because I'm so insulated, you know. And I thought I was going to really have to put forth a lot of effort to like them. You love them because they're your family, but you don't like them. To like them, and I recognize that I have grown because I could, love them just like they are. And not only could I love them, I could like them. And I decide how much time I'll spend with them, but I can like them. And so it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. So I want to read a little bit today about Prajna and what he has to say. In the beginning, we start with the Four Noble Truths. Everybody knows the Four Noble Truths, right? What is it?
Truth of suffering.
Suffering.
Cause of suffering.
The suffering has a cause.
There's a way out.
Mhm.
Here's the way out.
And here's the way out.
The
Okay.
path that delivers the way out.
Okay, so that's the Four Noble Truths, but by the time we get to the end of this study, it talks about there's no Four Noble Truths. There's no Eightfold Path. And that this world is like an illusory world, and seeing the illusory nature of this world. You can think about something this morning and you feel one way about it, and that's how you see it. this afternoon, you can think about it. Maybe it's not happening in this moment, you've had a chance to calm down. Now, now you think about it in an entirely different way. Now, which way was the way it really was? You can't really say. So he says, see life as an illusion in this way. So don't grasp after any appearance, however a thing appears to you. And that's how you will live without stress and anxiety in your life. So things really happen, but we create the stress and the anxiety that causes us to suffer. And that's what our work is every single day, is to look at whatever is arising. No, it's no way it could arise without there being the condition that allows it to arise. It's like the cause of it. And that we color it according to how we are feeling or thinking how it hits us in that particular moment, which is not the same way that we will experience it an hour from now, or maybe a month from now, or maybe a year from now, or maybe 10 years from now. Everything constantly changing. And if you can't handle the way it is arising for you in the present moment, you develop the tenacity and the fearlessness, to like hold it at bay without so much judgment on it, and waiting for the change to come, because it will come. That's just it. And in this way, we find our own way of escape, not relying on anybody to give us one, or to show a way out. And then the time that we put it into practice is when we need it, not later when we're talking to people about it, or talking to our friends about it, or when we're feeling high or hyped over, our progress, but in the moment when we need it. And that's the hard part for us, the part that we find so difficult to do, because we have other, what? I'm just making sure you listen. Habitual tendencies that drive us in a different direction. So it's really us uprooting our own habitual tendencies. And they're only habitual because we do it, and then we do it, and we do it, and we do it. And now we don't even have to think about it. We're so marvelously made. Suppose we had to learn how to drive all over again every time we got in a car, but it gets programmed into our physicality, into our mentality, and we just automatically respond in that way. And then we say, well, that's just me. That's just me. That's just how I am, but it's through continually ascribing the same behavior. And so we change our speech sometimes, but we don't change our behavior. That's a little more difficult. So Buddha says, just jump right in. If your behavior is not giving you the result you want, if your behavior is causing your anxiety, just change the behavior. Forget about the thought and the speech. No time to reel all of that in. Just, how can I execute differently in conduct in this moment? So if somebody is yelling at me and I'm feeling this mutual digression rise up in me, and I'm having the intention to yell back at them, can I cut it right there and just not do it? Can I just not do it? Yeah, I might think it, don't say it. No, can I do that? So that's the hard part for us, is actually the conduct, the behavior. And so we'll point to some part of the teaching that says, well, it's not really you know what I mean when I use the word sin. Don't take it back to Christian connotation of sin that we got when we were children. But let's just say that it's not useful, it's not beneficial, it's not helpful. You could say sin is that which is not useful, beneficial, or helpful, in the moment or moving forward towards the future. If you can understand sin like that, then that's what I'm talking about. So let's just say we do something and or somebody, we perceive somebody's done something to us, and I'm saying, well, I'm gonna respond to this. I have to take care of this. I'm gonna respond to this. And I step forward to respond to it. And I remember that if I do this, it's not gonna be useful, it's not gonna be beneficial, it's not gonna be helpful. I might feel some kind of temporary pride around how I stood up for myself or something like that. But actually, it's not going to be useful, beneficial, or helpful towards resolving, towards creating harmony, And if I can then just hold my peace, even though the thought came up, the words that I want to say came up, but I didn't do it, then in the beginning teachings, it says, then you have not committed a sin. But we grow up. So what was okay for me to do when I was a child is not really appropriate for me as a teenager. And what I did as a teenager is not going to be useful for me necessarily as an adult. And so what was perfectly permissible at one time is not at a different stage of our cultivation, at a different stage of our development. So part of the problem we have in the world is we got all of these 3-year-old adults running the world. I mean, that's really what it is, And if we can understand that, then maybe we can find a better way of speaking to the 3-year-old adult in a language that a 3-year-old can understand. But to do that, to have the capacity to do that, we have to get rid of our judgmental mind. The mind that says that I'm right and you're wrong, The mind is not even willing to listen to someone else's view or the way they see things or the way they understand things. I mean, when certain things happen in my world, which includes my society, like I'm elated if it was what I wanted, But there's just as many people who didn't feel that way, But because I think my way is right, or this is what I like, or the view I hold, then I'm happy when my side wins, and unhappy when the opposing side wins, and then I get stuck in a groove that everything I say is all good, everything they say is all bad, and that's not true. That's not true, but that's how I continue to justify my side. And I know that we can't, everything is so difficult. You've got to be able, I don't think that the middle way is coming to the middle, because that's not hot or cold, that's lukewarm. I don't think the middle way is that. I think the middle way is more like a seesaw, being able to judge and balance things. I mean, you have to realize that you can't always win everything, but I think I should always win. Then I'm acting like, thinking like, being like a 3-year-old. Can't always win. If there's a way, I better to put that energy into something that can sort of balance something out than to be going around crapping all over it all the time. So sometimes good can come out of misfortune, and a lot of times misfortune comes out of good. Sometimes things can happen too fast. And when they happen too fast, it overwhelms. Where if it had happened gradually, it could be more accommodating. One could actually have time to see the benefit of some things that they thought had no benefit. So many factors go into making our world peaceful and harmonious. Sometimes don't you just give in because you love someone and you want their happiness? And like if you're in marriage situations, you have to do a lot of that. While not married, you have to do a lot of that. And if you don't, then you shouldn't be married because it creates a dynamic that's untenable. It's not sustainable. You see. You will find that the things that disrupted your peace and harmony is what I'm saying will no longer disrupt your peace and harmony. You just live each day for how it arises and how you can interact with it in a way that when that day is over, you've left that day a little bit better than it was the day before. And that's what brings us a great sense of peace. And it brings a restorative energy to our heart and to our mind. And that's the first level. So we want to go into these high-reaching places that our head manufactures around the dharma that we're learning. But this is where it starts, right here. And then after a while, you'll find that you're content without needing to know so much, just more facts in your head, But you find that you're just content in living out each day. Then we have to get used to no drama if we're used to drama. I remember when I was young, I used to like to fight with my husband because the makeup was so good, and so it just kept everything from being plain and vanilla, it so I liked extremes. But as I began to see how much my extremes caused my own anxiety in life, then I began to see how joyful peace was. And I always tell a story, and I tell it because it's astounding to me because I don't know how it occurred. But in the 30 years that me and Kay and Pannavati, lived together, we never had an argument. You might say, how boring that is. It wasn't boring at all because I lived Pannavati. I did Pannavati and Deepa did Deepa and Kay did Kay, and we accepted that we were all different, so and so we didn't argue at all. And so it's hard for me to be in a place where there's a lot of arguments, because I learned that you can live without arguing. And who you hang around with is important because you hang around with people that argue all the time, then it's going to water seeds that are in our consciousness, that are water seeds, and we'll find ourselves arguing, But letting those seeds remain on dry land allows me to maintain my peacefulness. And so we have to make decisions in our life. And this can be difficult because we are creatures of habit. But as we move into higher levels of consciousness, we begin to realize that we can be our own worst enemy. So we have to learn to make friends with ourselves. Making friends with ourselves allows us to make friends with others. if I'm hard on myself, if I'm down on myself, if I'm looking at what I consider my failures, my inadequacies, it's very difficult to see other people in any other light. So we have to learn to be gentle with ourselves, but accountable to ourselves. So that's why I confess a lot of things in front of you, because I don't want to make you think that I think, because I know you don't think it, that I think I'm so good, you know. And we could just really be, sometimes I'm a little bit flip, but I am to let you know there's no danger in the water. So in judging myself, I'm not passing judgment on myself. I'm just judging that act like, oh, honey, why you gotta work harder on that? That wasn't so good. And I said, okay, I will. And then when you do something that I perceive is an infraction, then instead of me like ripping you up, they just say, you gotta work harder on that. And you say, yeah, I will. And that's it. One time I told a person, like if you wanna come and be in the choir, that's wonderful. Beautiful, beautiful voice. That's it. But you have to take it seriously. And when you're not gonna come, you have to let us know, in advance that you're not gonna come. And they got so offended they left. What can I do? I can't say come to rehearsal and come on time. I can't say that, And so I just let it be. So in a way, I felt like, well, that was a loss. But in another way, I felt that it was not a loss, because I just didn't have any attachment to it one way or the other. I was just telling the truth, which I thought was in a kind way, but I guess they didn't think so. So maybe I could have said it kinder, like, could you please come on time, or could you please let me know if you're not gonna come? But, maybe I'll do that the next time. And so this is what I'm saying today, is that every week we come to hear something titillating. And I had something titillating for you today, something that because we're such an intellectual people, we just like to hear all this intellectual stuff. But I'm looking for the power that comes from true seeing and true knowing. And that's what I wanted to say to you this year. We are going to get beyond the beginning of this book, okay? Because we stay in I think we're on what page?
230 something.
230 something. That's 230 something in the old book. In the revised, or is that in the revised? In the revised, 230 something. And now we
3.0.
got
3.0, he's saying.
Okay,
Version
we're going-
3.0.
We're going to version 3.0 now. And this is all about our thoughts, our speech, and our action. And whether people are saying, like, I just want to be a good human being. Well, I think to encounter the dharma, you have to already be a good human. Wouldn't have any interest in this at all. No, but it's more than just being a good human being. A good human being is trapped in samsara, right? And I'm trying to get off the cycle of the wheel of living and dying. And so for that, we got to go 3.0. And the doorway is the doorway of our behavior. That alone is real. Thoughts in the mind. Thoughts come, you see them coming sometimes. Thoughts go. Let's just say somebody upsets you, and you and then your anger starts to leave, and you're like, no, you're not through being angry yet. It's like come back. You have to, tell the story again. to hold on to your anger about it. You have to keep telling the story because the anger subsides and it starts to leave. And it's like, wait, I'm not through being angry yet. We have to keep dredging it up the past that is not our present moment. And so we know that they're not, I can't say they're really my thoughts. They because they come to me and they hang around for a while and they leave unless I pull them back. Sometimes thoughts come to me and I'm like, where in the world did that come from? 'Cause not even my thought. Something I heard on TV, something I read in a book, something like I just have a feel about things based on a traumatic experience I had in my life. I have one way of looking at my ex-husband, and I just see that one side of him. And while I was away I was just thinking about it, and I'm saying, time to let that go because I really don't want to think about him at all. So it's maybe not him I'm thinking about, but that thing that I'm thinking about, that situation. There was when we were living in the other place, not the big hardwood, because that place was full of ghosts, but in the smaller place, one night after living there for 4 years or so, my room door opened. And I thought Pannavati came into my bedroom until he held up this musket and and I said no, and it fired. And then I realized it wasn't Pannavati, that it was a ghost that came and then it was gone. And when the smoke from the musket cleared, the door was still closed. I said, wow. The next night, it happened again. And it happened for a period of time until I just, my heart went out to him. Maybe it was a soldier that got killed, like on the grounds where this house was built, or whatever. But I lost my fear of it after about the third time that it happened, and then I started thinking about that energy being stuck, weird energy, that energy being stuck in that form, and then I started, having the aspiration for him to be released and to be free, and then it was gone. And so there is energy that gets stuck. What I want to be able to do is to help move stuck energy out when it's not useful or beneficial. But I can't do it if I can't manage my mind and can't manage my my feelings. My son said, no, I can't decide which one of these women I should marry. I said, well, how long have you been going with them? He said, I've been going with all of them for 20 years. I said, well, then you need to stop drinking because drinking, I wasn't telling them nothing about Jesus, Buddha, none of that. No. Then you need to stop drinking because drinking muddles the mind. I'm not saying drinking is evil. I'm just saying it muddles the mind. And you can't get clarity around the issues of life that you're concerned about. That formaldehyde in there. I know about it. I used to drink. I drink Boone's Farm. And it was full of formaldehyde. When somebody told me it was formaldehyde, I stopped. I said, wait a minute. I'm in college trying to learn something. And I'm drinking Boone's Farm that's got formaldehyde in it. And I said, son, stop drinking. And then you won't be so muddle-headed. Clarity will return to you. And you can know to pick the good one, which is her, not her. But I'm not forcing, I'm just pointing out, like looking at qualities, looking at benefits, And he said, I know she's the best one, but but she's boring. I said, well, then let her go. Let her go then. And I've been told her, you know, I'm not your mama, but I've been his mama, and I just tell you, no, let him go and live your life, you know. And I didn't mean anything harmful about it, you know, but I can just say, but you can just take it, dismiss it, it's okay. But if you ask me, then that's when you stop drinking, and when you find a good woman, treat her good. That's, you know, that's it. And if you need more spice in your life and more excitement and activity, pick that one. You'll get it. And so he does. He has drama on that side, you know, and he's trying not to see it because he likes the spice. I'm like, stop drinking, and your head will clear up. And so this is all about real stuff, you know. That's what I'm saying. And it should give you some joy when you learn one little dharma thing that you can actually apply in your life that changes conditions for you. When you see those conditions change, you know, I did it. You know that there's something that you employed in your life that shifted things for you. And so one develops a more fearless nature, more fearless composition, you know, are not afraid to tell the truth, you know, not afraid to be authentic, don't have to wear a mask, you know, and not afraid of others, because we get afraid of others if we think they can do something to us, if we think they can hurt us. And I'm not saying that people can't hurt you, you know, but you become better able to sustain your own life and to live fairly, and to treat others fairly, you know, when you develop these kinds of skills. So all of that can be under the category of being a good person. It's not how many scriptures we can quote, you know. I liked, you know, the 66 books of the Bible. Like I almost do the whole 66 books verbatim. And somebody quotes them, you find that in such and such. You find that in John 1. You find that in Exodus. You find that in, you know, I knew where it all was. But when it really came down to, was I being the kind of person that I considered a good person? You know, was I helpful? Did I have any talents or abilities to succor the suffering of others? You know, could I give somebody some understanding who maybe we all agree don't deserve it? Yes, because a lot of times I do things that, and I don't deserve it, but somebody gives me understanding, you know, and I want for you what I want for myself. Just wanting for others what we want for ourselves. And in that way, we loosen we call it selfish, but I call it self-full, it's our selffulness. And we move into a state that we call self and others are equal. So I don't have to practice self and others are equal, you know, that allows the condition of self and others are equal to arise in the mind stream when I work on self. You know, it allows self and others are equal dharma practice, you know, to manifest and to be there. I'm gonna see self and others are equal. What's the technique for that? You know, and then after that, just moving into self and others are equal, we will find ourselves catapulted into putting self before others. So now we're not walking around talking about how we put others before ourselves. You know, we don't have to go around talking about that because it's like the sun shining. The sun doesn't know it's shining, yet it's shining on me. It's like you will just automatically put others before oneself, and in your sense of kindness towards others, wanting to do for others, thinking about others, you know. Um, it's like whenever you get something, you're wishing someone else had it because you know they need it, you know, or you're thinking about giving it. It's like someone comes here and you pay, I thank you, you know, so receiving and at the same time passing it off to who really needs it. It's like that. Instead of getting it, let me rummage through it, take out, I want this, and then give them what you don't want. You know, right away you start thinking about, you just don't really think about yourself. But just think about this, that everything that comes has passed through you. You know, so that you've been the recipient of it. On this trip, I was away, and all I thought about was how wonderful it is to be with good friends in the Dharma. How wonderful it is to not be arguing with somebody every day. How wonderful it is, you know, to have a roof over my head, and I don't even have to worry about how I'm going to pay the mortgage. How wonderful it is, you know. Somebody fixes food, somebody buys it. I don't know, you know. How wonderful it is. Like I don't worry about any of these things, so I can spend all my time. I can spend all my time thinking about her. Because it's just really wonderful. Take no thought for tomorrow, what you shall eat or what you shall put up. Know that and I forget the scripture now, but it talked about the lilies of the field and how beautifully they're adorned, you know, and they don't have to think about what they're going to wear tomorrow and all these kinds of things. And I can just say it's true for me in this life. There was a time I had a lot of things, but I had to tend to those things. I had to make sure you didn't take them from me. I had to, you know, like all of that. Now I don't have those things, and yet I don't miss any of them. I'm looking. I have more than I even have room to receive. That's how it increases upon my consciousness. And could you say from the outside that that's true? Maybe not. But I'm telling you from the inside, that is true. So don't worry if things come up. You either have it and can keep it, or you have it and you lose it, or you know, something else comes along, or maybe something doesn't. I met a guy at the airport and he was sitting 2 seats over. And I guess he started talking to me, and I would say a few words. I mean, I wasn't like striking up a conversation, but it was always that he wanted to strike up one, and then he moved to the seat next to me, and I had a 4-hour layover, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this. You know, I was reading and I wanted to read. He wanted to talk. You know, so finally I just closed my book and I leaned into him, got close to him like this. And he was already leaning this way. You know, I just leaned to him and I gave him my full undivided attention. Now I'm not being polite or whatever, you know. And I just gave him my undivided attention. I knew it was not going to be a talk about what do you do, what kind of clothes you know, because I wore gym, what do you call those things, sweats back because it was a 12-hour flight. And so I know it wasn't a conversation because you look different. And And he went on to tell me about his life, and he's 86 years old, and that he was a professor at some place, and he retired last year. And I got a new wife. He said, my wife died 3 years ago. My wife, 61 years. Then he says, and then I got a new wife 2 years ago. I said, just 1 year later? He said, yeah, I'm getting old. I'm 86 years old, you know, and he said, and you know, she's a Texas businesswoman. That's why I'm down here, you know. Now I'm heading back to my house up in Albany, New York. He said, yeah. He says, I got somebody to take care of me when I get old, you know. He says, and I'll leave her. I'll let her. I said, I got somebody to take care of me. I said, dude. He said, yeah. He said, I like her too. You know, I said, but she likes me. She likes me too. And she's teaching me new things.
Oh,
I
God.
said, oh, it might be some hope for me because I thought 74 was the end. I was like, this is really the end. He's talking about 86, and he just got a new wife, and then he got up to go and get something from the concession across, and the man got up. And he was moving like that, you know. I said, yeah, well, optimism gets an A+. Yeah, yeah. Exactly. But I mean, that's about all. That's about all that at that stage, you know, whatever floats your boat. And so so that was it. But I enjoyed talking to him. But you know what that man did? He they bring the wheelchair assist, you know, and then they teach you that when you have a long layover like that, they help you get in a chair, and then they take the wheelchair. So if you have to go anywhere, like to the restroom or to the concession, sorry, that it was it's hard to, you know, move around. There's nobody else to assist you until your flight. But when the new flight crew came to start us aboard, he had seen me. He said, you move around like an old woman. He said, you need some help. But he got up and went to the and he went to the counter like this, you know, but I thought he was going up there. He said, see that woman right there, you need to call for wheelchair assist to help her because she can't walk far, and she can't make it down the ramp. I said, you need to get one for yourself. Is what I said to him. He's like, no, I don't need it. I can walk. Yeah, I got a new wife. I can walk. And it was fun, but you know, it was that's his kindness, is what I'm saying. That, you know, we struck up this conversation. He said, I'm so glad I met you. He said, you think we met in a previous life? I said, that's a possibility. Yes, that I believe that anybody I meet in this life I met in in a previous life. I mean, if there wasn't one, how do you account for now? Where did now come from? Where did this life come from? It had to come from something before that. And that's why this one counts, because it's the precursor to something after. That's why we have to seize the essence of this life. When you put it together in the 3 times, it makes more sense than living for the moment. So keeping it in the 3 times will make you think about what came before, and will help you set up conditions for what will come after. And so and I really enjoyed talking to the man. I mean, not like he was disturbing me because I was trying to read my book. That's when I was Panyawadi, Wadi Ing. That's when I was Panyawadi Ing, you know, because I wanted to read my book. And he was not having it. He really wanted to conversate, you know, and just giving him that time. But it was a boon for me, you know. We didn't see eye to eye on hardly anything, you know, but we could bosh just share our views, and it was a pleasure and a joy. So you just never know, just being available, what it can do for you, in making your day. And so you made that 3 hour block of sitting there, just so wonderful. And I was glad that he came into my life. And maybe, I'm about tying up karma, you know. If you keep stuff going, you don't tie it up. It just keeps rolling. But finishing and tying off knots, you know, and that's what part of what non-attachment is about. Is finishing things, leaving them in a neutral place. Sometimes people would come in to Darwin, they didn't like the talk or something, I don't mind that. But a couple of times I had to say, you see that door right there? There's no lock on it. And that just means you don't have to stay, you know. But you can't stay and act like that, you know. And so, I mean, we can learn that we can say these kinds of things, if we don't have any attachment to it. It's just a truism. It's just true, but no self with it. And learning how to be that way, life will take on a completely different quality for you. And instead of seeing conspiracies everywhere or seeing enemies everywhere, you start to see true friends that you forgot you knew, because it didn't necessarily occur in this time, you know. And you'll find that there are qualities in you that are waiting to sprout and to come forward, and that anxieties disperse because there's no hatred in your heart anyway towards any man. And then when things come to you, you can receive them with gladness. You know that I won't say that you have earned them, but you'll know that they have a right to be there. That goodness has a right to be there. That happiness has a right to be there. And you can enjoy your happiness. If you say you want to be free and you get free and you're not free because you're hanging around with the dark issues of the past, abandon it and enjoy your freedom. That's what I mean. Enjoy your freedom. This is a great life. The emptiness balanced with seeing the marvelous aspects of life and finding gratitude around the little things will also allow the big things to find a place in your life. So we didn't get to these, but we will next time. And just remember, we're starting on increase. And I think some of these we know and we agree upon, some of them not so much. Like, but we talked about that, and I wonder if anybody talked about good fortune that comes with joy, gladness, and gladness. But this is also a worldly, ordinary feeling. So sometimes we have to tamp down. For me, I do. I have to tamp down my gladness and my joy sometimes. Sometimes other people have to. They have arouse it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, but he wasn't saying. And I wanted to make sure that you understood that he was talking about the principle of things, understanding the principle of gladness and as opposed to the physicality, the expression of gladness. And so that's why we should rejoice over the successes of others, even our enemies. We should rejoice in their successes, as long as it's not something that's harming, because then you couldn't categorize it as a success, right? But and who knows, even someone, let's say, who has great resources, um, um, I think about the gentleman, I forget his name, who wrote Amazing Grace. How sweet the sound, and he was the captain of a slave ship. I never think of him as the captain of the slave ship. I just think about him who one day had a revelation and he changed and he became a different man, you know. And so my mind always goes, and when he saw that he was wrong, you know, and he thought about how amazing grace was, because it pointed out, you know, his indiscretion, saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I understand. I'm found. I was blind, but now I see, you know. So there's always a hope that people can change. And even if they don't change, we should not change. Yeah. And so that's why we bless people that curse us and pray for people that despitefully use us. And how you can see the benefit of who that makes you as a being. I'm not trying to be a better human. I'm trying to be a Buddha. Whole different classification of being. And I know that I'm in the right space because for all my life, I wanted the refuge that Jesus provided. And one day I said, I not only want this refuge, I want to be just like him. I want to be able to do what he did. I want to be able to impact, you know. And for that, I needed another set of training. And this is it for me. And I'm at the beginning stages of transforming. Because after the academics comes the real work. After the methodologies, after the theories comes the real work. And I'm at the top end of my game, right? Y'all got more time than I got. But don't fritter away this precious human life. Thank you all for coming today. Somebody offer to dedicate for Mary. Before you do, anybody want to say anything? Anything? Yes.
Since I'm over 86, whatever floats my boat.
See, now I wasn't gonna call you out because you look so young. And
You're doing.
yeah, I'm telling you, I'm like, that's an anomaly right there. That's an anomaly. Truly, it inspires me.
Thanks for permission. I know it, but I'm over 86.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it. If I say to myself, I shall put on a happy face, only then will my countenance be changed. Yeah. Be careful what we say to ourselves.
Love you all.
Ditto.
Is it Dina?
Yeah.
It's Dina.
Love you, Dina.
Same here. Love you all as well, Giovanni. Glad to be here.
Oh, hi, Giovanni.
Me too, Angela.
Angela! Yeah.
Angela, set up a one-on-one. Call someone.
I will. Oh, I can't wait.
Hey, it's
Pannavati,
Julie
great-
Hope. I love you too. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back,
Pannavati, thank you.
Pannavati. It's LC.
Hello, El.
I'm tired of being sick.
Oh, you still sick?
Got the flu. She got
Yeah.
sick
Flu now.
again.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope you feel better.
Yeah, me too, because we have a workshop this week.
Yes, we do. And no more, what you call it when you
Cancellation.
can't say, I've been around my sister. My sister has,
Alzheimer's.
yes.
Thorough.
And it's contagious, I believe. By the time I left her, I'll tell you, but don't worry about it. When your mind start going like you don't care. Really don't, people around you care, but
Yeah.
you don't care. Okay.
May the merit of our coming together today, listening to the Dharma and from Venerable Pannavati sharing her cultivation and wisdom. May it ripple out through all the 6 realms and benefit our family, our friends, and every living being. May we really and truly change and cause no harm, creating an environment that is pure, peaceful, and free.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for all our guests that came today. It was good to see you. Thank you.
This is our yoga teacher,
Oh,
and this is our yoga friend.
Was Rob on?
Stephanie.
Stephanie.